here, my online guy. As always, just give me a second as I get prepared. Today's going to be a cracker. Got Calum coming on. He's running a little late. He's a busy man, and I'm pinning, busy man. He doesn't have a huge amount of time, but he's willing to jump on for half an hour, 40 minutes, and have a good chat to us about what he feels business owners should be looking for when it comes to someone to build their website and some of the red flags that he would be looking out for. Now, I don't know if Chelsea's watching, but thank you so much. She bought these today. She ate too many. She feels sick, so she left them on my desk. And I'm going to, instead of a beer today, because I just didn't get time. It's been absolutely bedlam this week. I didn't get time to run and grab a beer. I'm gonna have some of these sour gummy lollies. So that's me done. That's me sorted. So just bear with me as I get these links sent out to everyone that needs to see. How's everyone's week been? Hopefully everyone's having a fantastic week. We've had a really good week here at My Online Guy. We've had some positive news. It's the start of the month. Google's been going a bit crazy at the moment in regards to updates and SEO updates. Hopefully, I'm not sure if anyone's watching that does SEO, but I'm wondering if you guys are seeing the same things that I'm seeing on the ground. Been a lot of volatility this week, and if you haven't had a chance, please go back and watch the rest of the week where we talk about websites. I cover off what you should be expecting from the people you work on, some of the best practices that come with websites, some of the red flags, and it really seems to have resonated with a few people because I had a person talk to me yesterday. I watched these live streams and said to me that kind of wish I'd watched this before I had found someone to do my website, and then I probably wouldn't be getting you to redo it. You know, I think a little bit of education, you don't have to be as comprehensively over marketing as, say, myself or Calum, who's coming on. But you do need an underpinning knowledge of what you're buying to make sure you don't get ripped off, quite frankly. As much as it's poor form for some of these, I think Calum thinks it's at 3. Just one sec. Yeah, it's poor form for some of these agencies who actively go out and rip off people with no fear of consequences. I actually think part of the responsibility is on the business owner themselves. An ounce of education is all you need. You just go on YouTube, look up some things that make up what websites makes marketing good or bad, and then ask those questions when you're seeing people. You'll mitigate and you'll get rid of half of the people that are doing bad work. So that'd be my suggestion to most business owners. If you don't necessarily get a chance to watch all these videos, just educate yourself on something, on part of the process, on the specifics of marketing you're looking at, just so you can identify bullshit, basically. Now, Calum, I think we may have got our wires crossed in regards to timings. So we'll just wait a few more minutes to see if Calum is going to be available to jump on. Hopefully he is, but if not, we can we'll talk about something else. But yeah, guys, does anyone have any questions? I love getting questions. If you leave your questions in the chat in whatever platform you're watching, generally I'll see them. If I don't, just message me. But let's talk about. While we're waiting for Calum, let's talk about some of the common questions I get asked when building websites, and how you should, and the questions you should be asking as a business owner, right? So I'm just thinking about questions I get asked often, and one of the questions I get asked a lot is, notwithstanding like us charging, everyone talks about price. It's always part of the conversation, but can a lot of businesses owners ask, well, do we need so much content on our website? The long and short of that is if you want to rank in SEO, you kind of do. But again, it's personal preference. You can write content that's long form, that's 500, 600, 700 words without disrupting usability of the site. I think people see a big wall of text and go, oh, I won't want to read that. But you got to remember too that the people that are that you're working with, your demographic probably finds this content interesting. Now I've got Calum here. Hopefully he's you there, mate?
I am. Can you hear me?
I can. You on the road?
No.
Oh, okay. It sounds like you're in a car.
Ah, does it? I've got a new headset. I'm still trying to figure this stuff out.
That's all right. You got your camera there?
Yeah, I do. I don't know why it's not working.
You might have to go. You might have to go to the settings down the bottom in where we are, and just select your video input.
Oh, yeah. Cool. What do we got?
If the business owners can take anything from this, is that even though we're in the space and we do work on the computers all day, we're still not immune to technical issues. So just we're all in the same boat. We're just in different. We're all in the same, and we're just in different depths of crap a lot of the time. But yeah, just let us know once you're sort of sorted, Calum, and
yeah,
I'll get you.
I'm definitely
Excellent.
not IT without a doubt. That is not. I sort of say.
There we go.
Mechanic, and then you got an auto electrician, right? IT,
Yeah.
web and digital, two different
Yeah,
things.
they are. They are. Well, Calum, why don't you introduce yourself to everyone?
I'm Calum Maxwell. How you going? The owner, managing director of Optimise Online. So.
And yeah, just tell everyone a little bit about Optimise Online.
Yeah, sure. So we're web and digital. So our purpose is we exist to create awareness, engagement, and connections that matter. We're about becoming a strategic partner with our clients to understand their business so that we can reverse engineer their products and services back to the customer's pain, pressure, want, or need using online strategies.
Excellent. Very, very, one thing why I got Calum on today is that something we can both agree on is we both align value-wise, and we both have the same feelings and opinions about how businesses should be treated in this space. And I think he's a great person to have on today to talk a little bit about. So to cover off Calum, and to be fair, Calum, I grabbed Calum last minute, so he's learning as much.
I don't know what's happening here.
Surprise! No, yeah. So what I want to do, Calum, is just have a chat to you about your thoughts on what businesses. So like this week has been about websites. So last week I covered off SEO and just spoke about the KPIs you should be looking for, the questions you need to ask the company you're working with, red flags. And I want to do the same for websites today. So why don't we start with what are some of the, so you, just for context, Calum builds lots of websites and they're doing lots of volume over there at Optimise. What kind of questions do you feel like businesses should be asking you that they're not really asking?
Yeah, look, I think the most important thing to point out is, and forgive me, I don't know if I put that. Yes, I have. Look, there we go, in the right ear. The most important thing to point out is comparing apples with apples. It's frustrating because, something that I do with every single client that we sit down with is I go through our processes. It's an educational. I don't sell, I educate. And the reason that I educate is because the average business owner, especially if they've never played with, if they've never had a website built before, they know this much, right? And even those that have been down the path of building a website may have built it 2 or 3 times and never really got what they were after, but have got, and in the same respect, some clients, obviously, those that haven't got exactly what they're after haven't come to us because they've got what they're after. So I guess comparing apples with apples, actually understanding what each of those line items mean on that quote, that what are you actually getting at the end of the day? And I think there you go.
So what questions? So like, let's say I'm a business owner. I walk into, I introduce myself. I come and see you for a discovery session. and you're sitting there listening to the business owner go and let's say there was questions that a business owner could ask you that should be asking you to really find out whether they're getting value or not from your website. What are some of those questions that you would want those business owners to ask?
I guess the first question is, what do you want your website to do? That's a pretty fair question. What about yourself? What do you ask?
Yeah, I basically, when I'm with a business owner that I know, because like you were saying, there's different levels. Some people have it's generally one or two levels. Either they've never built a website before, never been through the process, or they built one before they're not happy with, and they're getting it rebuilt. They seem to be the two flavors that we come across a lot. And so, like, depending on who it is, if it's a business owner that doesn't necessarily know much about the process, I'll definitely talk about, and I'll ask some questions like why they actually wanting to build it now as opposed to a year ago or 5 years. And generally, it'll be some kind of trigger point. And then I also ask, well, what do you actually want this website to do as a job? If you want a glorified business card that has your name, address, and phone number on it, don't pay someone like myself to build that because it's just a very expensive way to put a business card online. But if you need the website to be put to work, what does it need to do for the business? What are the numbers you need to hit? And then generally, as you probably know, it ties into something more holistic. But generally they're the first two questions I ask, and then I just sort of elaborate on those as I go along. But of the questions that a business owner should be asking me, that I don't generally hear a lot. How long have you been doing this for? What's your process for building a website? Walk me through, as a business owner, walk me through how you build a website from start to finish. What's your actual process? How do you communicate? Because obviously, if you guys aren't aligned, business owner agency communication wise, it's never going to work because the flow of information won't be right. How do you get it on the internet? Who owns everything? I wish business owners would ask that instead of me having to prompt them to ask them those questions. So they're some of the questions that I would suggest.
My number one question is, what do you want? Why am I here? What do you want from your website? What do you want from me? And it's interesting because we had a bit of a win last week and I won't mention the customer's name because we haven't secured them just yet, but this customer is huge. The volume of product that they produce and sell, that they've been around since 2003 or six, or one of the two. And I sat down and asked, what do you want? What do you want from me? And it led to the answer of, well, we've built this section to our site, and the way that we've built it, we don't want to change in any way, shape, or form because it does exactly what we want it to do. But what we do want to do is enable one of our internals, so a designer internally, to be able to make ads, moves, changes, and that to the front end of the site, um, without affecting, changing, or displacing that. And once we sort of dive deeper into that, I came to the conclusion that they want a bit of a facelift. They want a brand, a bit of brand evolution, and uh, on top of having that accessibility for one of their internal team members to make changes. And at that point, I moved from, this is getting really bespoke because usually it's X, Y, Z, put it in our Excel spreadsheet. Here's a price. Here's our processes, and this is how we operate. This year, the first thing I said, well, that's great. We can achieve that. What we can do for you is just the design, and we'll have that in a format that we can then deliver to you because they have a web developer on staff, so we can provide that to your web developer, and then they can develop out the design. And here are but and here are some options in terms of what we can put that on. But really, we're at a point where we need to talk to the web developer. We need to talk to the guy and the other guy. The web developer wasn't there, so we need to set up a time with him to chat. Um, we need to have the designer and the IT guy in the room, because the IT guy's built the database that accesses the 17,000 products. And we need to come together as a collaborative team to understand what's capable. And we're now moving towards a testing phase, utilizing WordPress to see whether or not it'll work with what they've built. So I guess and there was the client actually said that at the end of that meeting that it was really refreshing, because the other three agencies she had in tried to sell their way, their solution, and even upset the IT guy apparently. So, I guess for us, we need to remember that that customer's got a problem. They're after a solution, and if we stop trying to sell them a website and understand what the solution is that they're after, we're going to ask those more meaningful questions
Oh,
to
jeez.
get to the bottom of what they're actually after, what they want, what's the desired result. So, um, so that's my notion, right? But when it goes to when we look at what we do, right, and we're the same as you. If you just want a profile website, what I refer to as a resume for your business, then sure, let's look at some cost effective templates that are utilized by, let's say, over a community of over 150,000 adopted users. So that way the template is maintained, updated, and has a less likely chance to be scrapped and then break, no longer supported. Uh, but where we play and what we love to do is to work on content briefs, informational architecture, understanding how the visit one, understanding the business, and then breaking that back down to what does the customer actually want when they land on this page. What are the first burning questions that they ask? What do we need to prove to them? How do we need to speak to them? And how do we take them on a journey of content flow that equals them picking up the phone or submitting their details to you? So content. We At that point, it's when we're talking about that sort of website that you are looking at your content briefs, your copywriting, your website design development, and everything in between. So it's really, that's why I say it's very much an educational process with our clients. And I think if because we take the time to educate customers, we do lead them to a point of comparing apples with apples. But yeah, I hope
It's it. No, no, no. It's so true. Like, I think people forget this. It's really a good point. It's like, it's not about, so like, generally most agencies, and we're no exception to this. So we have capabilities, we have physical limitations of what we can and can't do. But what most agencies will do is go, we do this. You either fit into this, you either fit into that mold, or you go find someone else. Or sell you on this mold that may not necessarily be exact fit for you, but it's like close enough. And a lot of the times, that's why I like asking what they're trying to achieve, because a lot of times they only can speak in the language that they know, which is like website or ads or something like that. They only know what they know from a marketing perspective. So they may think they need a website, but when you're actually speaking to them and drilling down, it's like, well, actually, if you want to achieve this goal, then a website's not going to get you to there, or it is going to get you there, but you'll need to do this as well. And then that's where, if a company just does websites, or they just do websites a certain way, they'll go, oh yeah, we can do a website for you. And then they can put on their hand and the heart, they did what the customer asked, but is it actually what they need? As opposed to what you're trying to sell them is they're two different things. So
the result.
Yeah,
And
100%.
that's why I say the first question you should be asking is, what do you want your website to do? What do you want from it?
Yeah. So what would be some red flags? So let's say you're a business owner, you're walking into a web design agency or having a chat to someone, what would be some, and you're asking questions, you asked them timeframes, things like that. The questions I talked about earlier in the week, what would be some red flags to you as a business owner if you were talking to an agency or a freelancer or whatever?
Look, I can't really speak for. I've never gone and asked anyone to quote me a website. So, and we've evolved over time. We've grown. We've adopted, improved. So, I think some red flags would have to be, you know, I I I struggle to understand how um, someone can quote a website without actually building out some level of structure to the site. So, um, what I actually sit down with our client opportunity, and we go through, well, what are the pages you need, and that's generally on the back of having them complete a business brief, which gives us a lot of insight into the business. Um, and during that sitemap uh, sit down, we are essentially building the pretense to the content flow within each page. So I have an idea of how much time's actually going to go into that page. Um, and then it's looking at what are the functions and the features. I came from a meeting this morning and where I quoted a website, and during that conversation, there was discussion around developing the brand, and you know, from that, the, this is the thing: it's our job to understand what the customer means by developing the brand. Now, the developing the brand is my word. He said, "Oh, I want to do some branding. I want to, you know." And branding could be like, well, do you want to look at your brand identity, your brand voice, how you are presented, or are you looking at brand strategy? Are you looking at the design, like branding? Like, are we building out additional assets beyond the website, or are we just evolving the brand a little bit in terms of look and feel for the website? And when I got to the bottom of it, not only did he mean brand development during the build of the website to lift the quality of the brand, like the brand perception, but also all of the other assets. Because during that development, during the website project, they'd like to then see that carry across to their assets. So,
Yep.
what does that mean for me? I know exactly what the customer wants. I know exactly what to quote, and I've created new opportunity in terms of what we're going to be providing them at a later stage. And it was positioned even during that meeting that they already have another agency that did their brand. And again, like at that point, I said, well, even if we play well with others, we love meeting we love meeting our competitors and making friends with them. So we're happy to work with them on the branding side of things if you want to stick with them. So it just sort of, again, it's what does the customer actually want from you? And
Yep. Yeah, that's interesting too, because I personally believe there's a lot of agencies out there that just pick a number out of a hat. Like they're like, oh yeah, 10 grand sounds like a round figure. 20 grand sounds like a nice number. I'll just quote that without actually any
yeah,
thought to how they come up with
yeah,
that number.
yeah.
Um,
There was one I quoted a project about 2 months ago, and they quoted him 25 grand, where our quote was 12,600, and um, baffled. He explained what he went through in terms of experience to get to that number with the other agency, and I was just blown away. Like he even said that one of the things he most liked about me is that I actually got in my car, drove out, and sat down with him, and was asking about him and his business, as opposed to saying how awesome I am, which is apparently an experience he got from the $25,000 quote.
Yeah.
So yeah, look, it doesn't matter what industry you're in. It doesn't matter if you're looking for an accountant or a bookkeeper or a mechanic, right? You want to do your due diligence and ensure, do some research before you go and engage any professional service be better, have a foundation of understanding of what you're looking to engage, so that way you can come up with some questions to ask the person that's sitting in front of you.
It
So
astounds me how many business owners uh, will do diligence, will spend 6 weeks deciding on a ute for their trade, and spend a whole bunch of this, like time wise, doing diligence on a $25,000 website, right? Like it just I feel like it's a lack of education. It's part of the reason I'm doing these live streams every day, right? Because I
yeah,
want to
it's
help.
cool.
It's a language thing. I think a lot of the time, like there's so much spin in this industry that's easy for business owners to get like caught up in the minutia of it all. Whereas like most business owners know the difference between a Hilux and a high ace van sort of thing. So like it's a visual thing, but a lot of times you're trusting the person you're working with because there's nothing tangible to hold and go, well, this is the widget we produce, and then you can look at it quality wise and use other reference points to determine, based on experience. A lot of business owners that have no real tangible experience when it comes to marketing, so they're basically like infants, for lack of a better, like they're just new to the experience. And it surprises me sometimes how little diligence happens when you could do the tiniest amount of diligence the same way you would if you were, go on ABN search, look at their just little things, little triggers, little red flags pop up, and go, wait a minute, like if I was buying, so that's what I want business owners to do is like, if you were buying
Yeah.
a secondhand car from this guy, what would you do differently? Oh, I just
And you're back. I'm just checking. I can't hear you, buddy. So